I'm Manu Murthy. I manage technology programs and help organizations realize their strategic goals. Today, I'm going to share with you some real stories from my journey on the Angular team, experiences I've had, and lessons I've learned that you can apply to your own projects. By way of a quick introduction, I'm a program management leader. I joined Google and the Angular team in October 2017. Prior to that, I've led large programs at Apple, Hewlett-Packard. I'm passionate about web development in general and agile methods. Outside work, I'm a landscape photographer and enjoy traveling to different places and capturing stunning landscapes. Before I talk about my journey, I'd like to take a few minutes and describe why I joined the Angular team. One of the main reasons I joined the Angular team is the value system that Angular upholds. The team truly cares about building an inclusive environment, regardless of where you're from or who you are, respect for each other, making everybody feel welcome to contribute and perform their best. And this is the core value system of Angular, and it makes me proud to be a part of that culture. Angular is also a complete framework. The use cases that are important to building web applications have been thought through end-to-end, from animations to building native language experiences to server-side rendering. With Angular, you can leverage those proven time-tested patterns and use them in your own apps. Angular is also life-changing. People choose and see Angular as a career path for themselves. And I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and he said he speaks 3 languages: Hindi, which is his mother tongue from India, English, and Angular. Another person told me, and I quote, "Your team creates what I use," unquote. And having that kind of profound impact on people's lives is truly amazing. Angular also has an active and vibrant community and support system. You have a question, there are a lot of places you can turn to for help. Stack Overflow, there's several online forums. You feel truly supported with Angular. And last but not the least, the super awesome team that I have the pleasure of working with every single day. These are some random pictures I captured during my time with these amazing people. Here's a picture from a pizza movie social that we had a few weeks ago. The Angular team works really hard, and we also play hard. I also wanted to paint a timeline of my journey thus far. I've worked on 3 major releases, version 6 of Angular, 7, as well as version 8. Looking forward to version 9 and many more to come. I've also worked on several minor releases and patch releases. And the experiences that I'll be sharing today are from this time period. All right, let's jump right in. Story number 1, keeping up with the ecosystem. The world does not stop. The ecosystem is constantly evolving, and that creates the need to plan for change. There are key dependencies that we update for you with every release of Angular, such as TypeScript, RxJS, Zone.js. These are peer dependencies in your package.json. So, for example, doing an ng update Angular core will update all of the Angular framework packages, as well as RxJS, TypeScript. It will also run any schematics on those packages to keep you up to date. Let me quote an example from version 6. RxJS version 6 released prior to Angular version 6. It was a very significant release with a lot of major changes that we had to integrate with. We also automatically installed the RxJS compat package into your application as part of the update to make the adoption of RxJS version 6 smoother. While all of this eventually came to fruition, the scope of RxJS and the user experience was unclear till very late in the project. Also, RxJS compat took several iterations to build than we had anticipated. And the Angular team just underestimated the complexity of this whole effort, of the seemingly straightforward effort. And it also put a lot of pressure on the Angular version 6 critical path for the project. Another example of keeping up with the ecosystem, we were faced with a CLI memory issue, and this is from version 8. We had moved from Node 10 over to Node 12 in version 8. And following that, we got reports from users that projects that were building correctly in the past are now hitting the memory limit. And in some cases, the performance was worse. or the memory usage went up by 70%. We worked with the V8 team. So the V8 team is Google's open source JavaScript engine team, which is used in Chrome, Node.js, and so on. And we also worked with the Node teams to get to the bottom of the issue. The V8 team actually built an instrumented version of V8 with a custom Node version to get to deep diagnostics so we can troubleshoot the issue. We were able to isolate the issue to a for loop in the AOT compiler. We were copying from a prototype while cloning objects. The practice was actually optimized in older versions, but with the new V8, this was no longer supported, and so we had a problem. The fix eventually came down to a one-line change, and we were able to get the performance back to where it should be, but it actually took us a long time to get there. All right, so what are some of the key lessons that we can take away from this experience? Think through your dependencies across your ecosystem and actually document them. Plan time in your projects to actually deal with and update those dependencies. 5 to 10% of the time, if you have a more complex integration, obviously you'd want to factor in more time. And this is something we do across the board at Google because we have a mono repository and we move together as a single unit. Also try to front load your plans, and that way it will give you time to react to any unexpected findings later on. I also talked about documenting dependencies just a moment ago, and here's an example of a dependency matrix that we developed for Angular. You see the 3 main repositories, framework, components, and tooling, and the different dependency items. We actually created this in version 6, and we started using this for subsequent releases of Angular. It helps us understand the scope of the work, track it, and keeps us sane. Story number 2. Does how you do stuff matter? So process is an area which is near and dear to my heart. Process describes how things are done and provides the focus for making things better. In late 2017, there was a lack of process focus in the Angular team. The processes we had were not scalable enough to meet Angular's ongoing growth. And it was also really hard to answer simple questions such as, are you on track or off track on a given day? What's the level of risk to your critical path of your project? Are people working on the right set of priorities? So fundamental questions were actually really hard to answer. One of the biggest lessons my team and I learned is the reality of project plans. The plan is really your best guess of how you think the project will proceed, as top part of this picture shows. And in reality, it's quite different, as the bottom part of the picture shows. So we wanted to build a process that helps build a plan that is adaptable. So we started on a process transformation journey, and we wanted to stay focused on a few things as we did that. Things that truly impact the end user satisfaction. Things that are executed often, think of it as the 20-80 rule, 20% of things that get executed 80% of the time. We want to focus on those things. We wanted to make sure they're measurable. And most importantly, we wanted the process to be lean and essentially stay out of the way. So this is the transformation that happened between late 2017 and today. So previously, we had a mixed hybrid model of waterfall as well as Scrum, so I call it Scrumfall. We had very basic project management tools, aka spreadsheets, as well as documentation. There was lack of execution metrics, things that you can use to assess the health of your projects. And there was also a lack of regular introspection retrospectives. And triage and dealing with technical debt was happening on a best effort basis. Versus today, we made some improvements. We actually use Kanban and Scrum. Why do we have a different model? In some of the functional areas, the requirements are evolving very rapidly that you can freeze within the scope of a sprint, so we use Kanban. And in other cases where you can fix life for a week or two, sprint duration, we actually use Scrum. We have also standardized on our Agile tool set. We use Jira, we use GitHub projects. We are tracking metrics, such as velocity blockers burned down, but we're not really using them to drive decision-making. That's something I would like to do in the future, but we have them. We also have a regular cadence for monthly sub-team retrospectives. We also do twice a week triaging of bugs. I'll talk about that a little bit later. We also have a scrum of scrums where the functional leads from each of the areas get together. We talk about interdependencies and really anything that's cross-cutting. And we also do tech teams, tech talks, excuse me. All right, we also have a set of guiding key performance indicators that we use to understand the health of Angular as a product. This is not an exhaustive list, but some of the things we look at is the Hello World bundle size. We look at the Angular I/O bundle size. We look at the traffic on our docs website. We look at analytics for CLI, opt-in. We look at continuous integration time for the PRs, pull requests. And we also run benchmarks for build and runtime performance. At the end of the day, methodology is an aid to thinking. It's not a substitute. There isn't a silver bullet. The important thing is to understand the key questions you and your stakeholders are trying to answer about the health of the program and develop a methodology that actually helps you with that. Story 3, own debt before it owns you. Debt is a very important consideration, but unfortunately, it's also the most forgotten one. And we on the Angular team are guilty of the same. So debt can broadly be classified into technical debt as well as bug debt. You may have a different definition of technical versus bug debt. I think for the purposes of this conversation, let's define technical debt as what you incur. These are shortcuts you take with the code, poor design choices you make, band-aids you put in, things like that. Bug debt, on the other hand, is functional and non-functional deficiencies and deviations that happen. Okay? It's actually less important what you call it. The more important thing is actually how you prioritize and deal with it. Best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. So in the context of the conversation here today, this means that if you want success and growth in the future, the best time to act on debt is right now. So what are some of the lessons we learned along the journey, right? So accruing debt is bad. Not paying it down is worse, because if you fail to pay your debt down, then you're paying the interest on the debt every time you interact with the code. Try to allocate 5 to 10% of your project time to tackle this. It's hard, trust me. And it's an area me and my team are trying to do a better job at. And I will continue to push for debt management in my role as program manager for Angular. Here's a bug triage process we actually use on the Angular team. Triage essentially means how you categorize and prioritize the issues so you can actually focus on what is important. The issues go through 2 levels of triage. We basically identify the functional issues, and we also identify the seriousness of the issue. Once triaged, we are able to see the overall priorities on this homegrown dashboard that we have developed. This helps us prioritize the work in relation to all the other pieces of work that we have to do. This is not a prescriptive solution. This is just how we do it on the Angular team. There is a lot of scope for improvement, and this is constantly evolving. The key takeaway here is that have a process and act on that process often to tackle your debt. Story 4, what the smoosh happened. So there's a proposal for the JS language feature, which is array prototype flatten, which actually turns out to be web incompatible. And specifically, there was a MooTools library which was being used by several websites. And the proposal author jokingly suggested renaming flatten to smoosh to tackle the problem. The joke wasn't clear to everyone, and things escalated pretty quickly. So my good friends in RxJS took this opportunity to create an April Fool's joke by converting all the merge operators to their smoosh counterparts. They then pushed out RxJS 6, smoosh.0 on NPM, and then a message pops up. Since you published this on NPM, and caret 6 RC0 resolves to smoosh, you are now breaking people. I recommend that you unsmoosh it by publishing smoosh one that removes the breaking change. The issue was fixed, but the key lesson here is that consider the impact and consequences. Seemingly harmless stuff like this can have a negative impact, and sometimes the impact is reputation impacting. We're also exploring deeper continuous integration to alleviate the stress and gray hairs stuff like this causes. Story number 5, infrastructure as an afterthought. In the past, dev infrastructure on the Angular team was everybody's problem, so in effect, it was nobody's problem. So there was a lack of accountability, and the team didn't fully understand or appreciate the impact and complexity of dev infrastructure in general. We also had a lot of flakiness with the infrastructure, and we were patching those things, or we were band-aiding those things to solve the moment's problem rather than systematically fixing it. And what that does is it increases the amount of debt you have. And this rolls up not just to Angular, but also the entire community, and affects everybody who's trying to submit a PR. So we also embarked on this dev infrastructure transformation effort. We formed a sub-team, we nominated a lead, and planned for a 1-year horizon with regards to what things we want to fix. Here's some of the recent work on the dev infrastructure front that we have been doing. Now, Joey Perrott from my team will actually be talking about these things in more detail. He's got a talk coming up, and I think it's titled GitHub at Scale. So if you want more information about these things, I suggest you tune into his talk. But in terms of what we've actually implemented, we have done remote build execution to fan out the builds, and this improves the speed and cost efficiency for us. We also take care of caching. Bazel allows to do this and gives us the incrementality. And we've also established several benchmarks and tracking for local rebuilds, continuous integration rebuilds, test, response times, so on. And we've also put a lot of emphasis on Windows CI. Story 6, finding leaders. As Angular grew, we had to reorganize ourselves to be able to scale better to the needs of to the growing needs of the community. We also needed a better system of accountability, and we also wanted to align with the process transformation work that I was alluding to earlier. We created various sub-teams and assigned technical leads. This helped provide the focus and particularly helped us manage interdependencies across these subsystems better. This is how Angular is organized. The top portion of the pyramid, we have the Angular Google team. We've just talked about the sub-teams that were formed and how we organized Angular on that front. The bottom part of this triangle is the user base in the community. And as Angular is a very active community, this is growing faster, much faster than the top of the pyramid. So how do you keep up with that? And how do you scale to meet that growing demand? This is where the middle section of the pyramid comes in. And we're talking about community collaborators and enterprise collaborators. These are people who have demonstrated high-quality work and code, documentation, helping others in the community, filing an awesome bug report. They are all valid forms of contributions. These folks have a mentor assigned on the team, and they have the formal support to make contributions to Angular. So these are the 8 amazing people we onboarded recently as community collaborators, and these folks have made incredible contributions to Angular. We've actually been very fortunate to find them and work closely with them, and these community leaders help us scale Angular better. In addition, we also have an amazing Google Expert Developers program. We have about 105 GDEs, leaders, and we also established an early access program which is used for them to actually validate the releases before they actually reach the customer. So that's another level of quality check we've put in. In summer 2019, we had 3 amazing interns work on the Angular team as well. Alyssa, Ayaz, and Alana. Angular receives hundreds of issue reports, pull requests each month from the community on GitHub. Alyssa, one of our interns, built a dashboard that helps us process and streamline the whole process of managing pull requests more efficiently. This will ensure that important issues from the community do not fall through the cracks. Ayaz is also one of our interns, and he built a tool that searches through the Angular code and enables you to get access to semantic information about applications. And the work that he did was based on the Kite ecosystem for building language analysis tools. Ilana is one of our other interns who's also doing a talk here at Angular Connect today. And she built a web portal for finding Angular components, search for tools and libraries from the ecosystem. The results are curated, and you actually see the results along with metadata information such as bundle size, any accessibility, and the presence of Angular-specific tools such as ng, add, and compatibility. All right, in summary, plan to keep up with the ecosystem. Have a process, measure and continuously improve upon it, and how you do stuff actually matters. Burn down your debt and allocate the time to start doing that now. Always consider the impact and consequences of stuff you do. Pay attention to infrastructure, plan infrastructure. Do not let it be an afterthought. And lastly, find leaders. They're out there. You just need to find them. I'll be posting the slides on my Twitter account. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and have a wonderful rest of your conference.